Hello everyone, welcome to PyLearning. Today we are going to talk about the super method in object-oriented programming in Python 3. Alright, now we already touched upon super in my previous video on inheritance. If you haven't checked out that video, make sure to check it out because super is kind of an extension of inheritance. How to use inheritance in a much more efficient way in Python, that is where super comes in. So if you haven't checked it out, the link is in the description or you can find it in the I link. Make sure to check it out. Okay. Now let's dive right into super. So in order to explain super, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create two classes, one parent class and one child class. Okay. So let's say our parent class is BMW car. I'm happy going with that example already. We don't need the brackets there. Let's define an init method. Okay, I can pass in some instance attributes. I can say model name and weight. Okay, so now I can say self dot model name equal to model name and then self dot weight equal to weight. Okay, that's it. Let's also define maybe a method. So I can say define start self and then print engine has started, and then let's say stop, and then here I can say print engine has stopped. Okay, simple class, nothing really fancy about it. Let's now define a child class. Okay, so I can say class. Now BMW has its own base class, but now they're going to launch an electric vehicle. Okay, so instead of creating the entire electric vehicle class from scratch, what they do is they decide to use the BMW car class, the base class, as their parent class. So I can say BMW electric and then I can pass in BMW car here. Okay, and now let's define the init method. Now I can continue because in my previous video I already described this, but for those who haven't watched the video, let me go through it here again. So let's say I'm defining the init method here and I say with electric car, the engine is going to be electric. Okay, engine is going to be electric. Okay, and now I can say self dot engine equal to engine. Okay, so now if I create an instance of this BMW electric car class, I can say BMW electric and then, well, I already defined it as the default value, so no need to define it anymore. So now I am hoping that because I'm inheriting from the BMW car, I should already have access to start and stop methods, right? So here I can say print x dot start. Okay, and now if I run this, run, and engine has started, print x dot start, and well, nothing really happened. Okay, so we have access to the methods, and then let's say, so I should also have access to the model name, right? Now we haven't defined model name anywhere, so let's just go ahead and print this. Okay, so here it says attribute error, BMW electric object has no attribute model name. Why is that? Because, so one thing I also learned now is that when you are defining init like this, so here's the thing, I have two classes here, okay, BMW car and BMW electric. Now what happens is, if I define an init method here, what it is going to do, even if you are inheriting from a parent class, if you have an init method, it is going to override the init method of the parent class. That is actually called as polymorphism. We are going to learn about it in the future video. So now, because we have only mentioned that self.engine is equal to engine, so that's why we don't have the instance attributes of model name or anything, right? That's why we are not, we are getting an attribute error here, that model name instance attribute is not part of BMW electric. For this purpose, if you want to include the, how to say, the instance attributes of the parent class, we have to use the super method. But just because you have not used the super, which is what we learned here, you can still access the method. So see, I didn't use the super method, but I'm still able to access this start method, and I'm sure I can still access the stop method as well. So super method, basically, if it is related to the init, it's related to the methods. So if I'm not using super, I won't have access to those instance attributes. So basically the attributes and not the methods. Okay, so this is what we learned about super first of all. And now let's go ahead and implement super. So here I can say super dot init, and then I can pass in model name and then wait. Okay, so now it should work. However, the beauty of using an ID like PyCharm is that it automatically tells you whether it's not going to work or whether it's going to work or not, you know. So you see here, if I put my cursor over this, it says unresolved reference. So why unresolved reference? It's because, okay, now I'm saying using the super method, get me the model name and the weight. However, I need to store that value somewhere, right? I need to define those things. Here in the init, I have not defined the model name or the weight. I have only defined engine here. So here I can say self model name and then weight, and now it goes away. So now here, when I create an instance of the class BMW Electric, I can say model name. I have to pass in these values, x2, and then weight, let's say it's 200 pounds. It's actually 200 is very less for a car, but it's okay. And that's it. We already have a default value for engine here. So now if I print this, hopefully it should work. Yes, it does. Let's remove this thing, x.start. We don't need it anymore. Let's say print, and here I can say print x. Let's just print x. Okay, so now if I run this, so now you see that x is this object, BMW Electric object. Now you know why we are getting an unreadable object. It's because we don't have a string or a wrapper method. Again, if you haven't checked out that video, make sure to check it out. It's a very important video. Basically def wrapper, and then I can say return self dot let's say model name. Let's say BMW plus self dot model name. Okay, so now if I run this, actually let's give a space here. Yeah, now if I run this, so now we get BMW X2. So every time you print out X, you are actually getting BMW X2, the string representation of the object. So a much more readable way of printing out objects. Okay, now there is another way of doing this super thing. Okay, so basically if you are coming from Python 2, how super used to be used in Python 2 is basically you pass in here the child class and of course the self. All right, so if you're coming from Python 2, then you are used to, maybe you are used to using formatting like this. In Python 3, you don't need to mention it anymore. It's automatically assumed. So you just need to pass in super. Let's just run this. Okay, and see, it still works because this is the actual format. But in Python 3, it has been reduced to just using super because it's kind of redundant, you know, passing the same child class, because we know this super is being used within this child class already. So this is how you define super. Now there is another way. Okay, instead of using super, let's say you're not a big fan of super, or let's say you want to experiment. Okay, so now here, instead of using super, you can also directly use the class name. So let's remove the super, and then I can say BMW car, okay, dot init, and then self comma model name. Okay, instead of using super, you are directly using a BMW car, okay, the car name. So basically you are creating a car object here. So let's say now if I run this, it still works, you know. So you can either use super or you can use a class name for it. Doesn't really matter. It's still going to be, it's still going to work fine. However, I think it's a much better practice to use super because that's what it is built for. And you know where you will have this issue, where you will understand the importance of super? It's in multiple inheritance. So we'll learn about multiple inheritance in the next video. But for now, let's just use super. I think it's much better way of using it, and remove self because we don't need self anymore. Okay, so now it's fine. What I wanted to tell you is also something else. Have you heard of a concept called as star args? I mean, you know star args by now, right? Star args is basically you can pass in variable number of arguments inside a function or a method, right? So instead of writing model name, let's say you are using a library, you know, you don't know exactly what all parameters are going into it. So you can pass in star args. So now instead of using model name and weight here, my question is, can I use star args? Okay, even I am not sure. I'm hoping it can be used. Now it says unresolved reference star args. Okay, so what is happening here is the same issue we had earlier when we defined model name weight. We hadn't defined it in the init method in the arguments, and therefore we were getting this unresolved reference. So what here I can do is, maybe if I use engine electric and then let's say star args, probably it will go away. And now, so now if I run this, oh, init got an unexpected keyword argument model name. Okay, so this is not working, but I think it should work, you know, because that's the whole point of using star args. Okay, let's just check it out. I will go on the internet, use star args in super. Let's see if we can use star args, you know, because to me it doesn't make sense. Correct way to use super. It's a Stack Overflow question. So correct way of handling. So here you see class base define init self.star args, self.star keyword args, and then A is inheriting from base, and then star args. Okay, so only if you can put in star args here, then maybe you can put in star args here. That's the argument that's the feeling I'm getting. Okay, so you see each of them, even the parent class here is using star args in the init method. So probably, okay, this is the simplest way. Okay, probably it's because you have to define star args in the class here. Okay, let's go back to that. Let's try it out. So here I can say star args. Okay, and then let's see how they have defined it here. So A, define A star args, init super A self init star args star keyword args. I don't get it. Where does it come in handy? This is not that great. I'm not able to understand it properly. Let's see if there is some other way. Let's try it out. Okay, rectangle, self length, best practice, insert name of child class as first argument to super. Okay, that is still the best practice. Even in Python 3 they are saying. I don't know whether it is Python 3 or Python 2. Okay, this is Python 3 only. So here init length. Next, let's see. I think probably how to define init with keyword args. Okay, let's just check this out. Okay, oh, actually there is another really good. I just saw something. Why can't pass star args keyword args in init of a child class? That's cool. Let's check both of this. Okay, so okay, so here you see I want the class to do same as following quarks. Okay, the person wants to pass in star keyword args. So it says if you only have 3 arguments, then this is the solution. You can just pass in star star keyword ars and then do self.lastname. Okay, this is how they're using quartz.get last name, and then define init. If you really want the attribute to be undefined, then you set attribute like this. Okay, let's try this out. Okay, so what we can do here is we can just say for key comma value in I can say keyword args dot items because it's a dictionary, and I can say set attribute, okay, self comma key comma value. Okay, so this is how you can dynamically give out instance define instance attributes. So now if I run this, okay, we have a vehicle type additional. So now we are getting 4-wheeler. See, we learned something new, how to set instance attributes dynamically using this set attribute method, which is really cool, by the way. Let's check out this other article. So it says, why can't I pass star ars and star star keyword ars in init of a child class? So super, okay, so he is trying to do what we were trying to do, he or she, whoever. So your foo.init does not support arbitrary keyword arguments. You can add star star keyword ars to its signature to make it accept them. So I think something is being called here. Okay, and then here in my foo you pass in self star star keyword ars super. Okay, it's kind of weird. Okay, so now we already have defined star star keyword args here, and now if I pass in star star keyword args here, you know, and also pass it in here. Okay, so now let's change this. So I can say BMW electric, and then if I run this now, now I am getting, okay, now I understand. Just to be sure, so in order for you to use star star keyword args, first of all, you cannot use star args, okay, because my definition, the way I was using star args was completely incorrect. All right, so basically star args just passes in a parameter. Star star keyword args is keyword argument. So we are basically passing in keyword argument here, so I have to use star star keyword args. If I was not passing in these keywords and I was just passing in model name, weight, just values, then I would have used star args. Okay, so basically if I want to use star star keyword args, I need to, the star star keyword args needs to be part of the parent class, first of all, init method here, and then you have to include it in the init method of the child class, and then in the super you can use in star star keyword args in order to, you know, pass in dynamic variables like this. Okay, so this is how you would actually use star star keyword args in your object oriented programming. Yeah, I learned something new. I hope you did as well. So let's now see what else can we do with super. Okay, let me just search for some articles. I always do this. So what can I do with super in Python 3? Very random way of doing it. Okay, working with Python super function. So journal dev, let's just select this. Yeah, actually last time I looked at it, there is something very cool here. What I can do, let's see. So app dividend, okay, and then how to call super, and okay, so yeah, okay, this is here also they've explained that using the class name thing, and basically, so you see super is now being used in methods, sub method. Maybe we should do this, you know. Okay, I think we can do this. sub method printing class B. Okay, let's try this out. So how there are multiple classes here, so B is inheriting from A, C is inheriting from B. So let's try this out with our method. So we already have a start method here. Let's define another start method. So I can say define start self. I can say print starting electric car. Let me change the statement here. Engine has started, and say started base BMW car. Okay, so for our parent class, we have a start method that says started base BMW car, and then here you say in the start method we are saying starting electric supercar. And now I can say super dot ini, and then I can pass in do I have to call the init method here? No, I don't think so. I have to call the method that I want to call. So instead of passing in ini, I can say super dot start, and then yeah, that's it, right? So now what happens, let's say I do print x dot start. Okay, now if I run this, okay, so first is starting electric car, then started base BMW car. Because these methods are not returning anything, you know, it's just printing out, it is printing out none, but yeah, it doesn't really matter. Let's just say we are printing x dot start. Actually, if I remove the print here, just do x dot start, the none will go away. So if I run this, okay, none went away. Now we are just doing x dot start. So first starting electric car, and then because we have a super method here, we are saying okay, starting base BMW car. So this is how also we can use super within other methods apart from init, you know. So I hope you enjoyed this, you know, trial and tested. I mean, it's a different way of making a tutorial, I guess. We are looking into various things, we are learning on the go. This is how I would actually do myself before making a video, and I realized that this is a much more interactive way of teaching you things and learning myself as well, rather than just, you know, doing all of this 2 to 3 days of research and then putting the video out for you directly, where you don't get to learn these new things. For example, this set attribute thing we didn't know, right? Now we know how to set instance attributes. You know, like we were not planning to learn this, but now we know this, right? So hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Make sure to put your comments down. If you have any other question, also put it down in the comment section, and I will see you in the next video on multiple inheritance. Okay, thank you guys.